I'm really excited today because the theme of today's conference is all about Agile and software craftsmanship. And as you know, I'm leading the Agile Competency Center. But I'm leading a panel right now, so I'm not going to talk about Agile at all. And I'm going to let other people talk about Agile, which is going to be hard to shut up at sometimes, I'm absolutely certain. And I really hope that there's a good discussion going on, because I want to see some of the passion that I saw earlier on with Jim. I want to see that reflected in this panel as well. So I hope you're all warmed up. Okay, so what we're going to talk about, and I'm going to sit down because I'll still need to walk around afterwards. What we're going to talk about, the theme of this panel conversation is faster, better, and cheaper. And that's one of the promises that I've always heard Agile brings. So customers say, hey, well, can you build or can you organize your software engineering department in such a way that we get our products faster, get our products better, higher quality, and at the same time just make sure that we don't have to pay as much for it as well. Now the question is this a myth, or is it really something that is achievable? So I have I've invited a couple of people from our offices, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Going to let them introduce what their role is as well, and what they're doing in this organization, and kind of what faster, better, and cheaper means to them. So whoever wants to start, Havi, you've got the microphone. It's not on, I believe. So, okay, so that should work now.
Yeah, I guess that's fast enough. All right, so my name is Balázs Fejes, FB2, because there's another guy with the same name. I'm sure you guys know him. And I have many responsibilities, but I'm sitting here representing the team who is building all the kind of software development tools and processes that we're using to make things faster and cheaper and better. And in terms of the cheapness, I mean, I have experience working on EPAM proposals for like 10 years now, so I know the actual price tag that we put on and the kind of difference customers expect from us in terms of, actually making use of Agile. So I feel like, my team's mission with the development tools is to actually reduce the kind of setup costs of running new projects, making sure that we start to produce value faster, and also to be able to kind of communicate what we're producing better, communicate with the customers through these tools. So I guess that's my perspective.
That's great.
Eli Feldman, I run the Cloud Competency Center for EPAM, doing things internally, EPAM Private Cloud. We help deliver that inside of EPAM, helping you guys provision services within EPAM IT services as fast as possible. We do the same for clients. That's so cheap? No. We'll make it more expensive.
So it's cheaper a myth in your case then?
Yeah. So and we do the same for customers, more expensive.
I'm saying most of you know me. I'm the official company mascot. So I love software. Right? So Jim was talking about that at some point, and just now in his talk. And a funny thing is, my first company was actually a compiler company, sold to Archimedes, and Archimedes sold to Berlin. So we had quite a few things in common. I love software. I code. I build software today, and nobody would pay me enough to actually write code anymore. But it's I've always been called the startup guy. When I was in Oracle, when I was in Motorola, I've always been called a startup guy. What they meant by that at that time, which it really means I could do something with a small team, make it cheap, release it faster, and something that would actually touch a customer immediately. And back then, that was called a startup guy. And I think now it's very relevant to what Hina was talking about the topic today, which is what does it really mean, and how is it possible to release something faster, better, cheaper, and make the most bang for the bucks, if you will. How can you actually make that change, make that release, make that product out there that could touch the most user and get the greatness, if you will. So I'm super excited today, and I tend not to stop, so I need a shut up sign for me, officially just for me, but otherwise, I think it's going to be a fun session, and we need people to exchange.
My name is Mikhail Boyko. I work in the embedded area, leading embedded competency in EPAM. And I'm here because Agile is not applicable in embedded area, at least, or applicable at least partly. So faster and cheaper, that is not always true for embedded and low-level programming. In which part it is true, I hope I will be able to explain here.
That's going to be interesting.
Hello, I'm Ivan. I'm representative of quite good department, so maybe direction. We are representative of Korea Development Center, Korea Development Program. We try to help the people to adapt faster, cheaper, and as well to make it more flexible, to solve the problems which you have. And what we try to do is to study, to learn, to adapt, and to help the people who present here or present in the company to know more, to make more goals, more achievements. And Agile helps us with this case.
Right. So we have as you already heard, right, and I'll go over the roles again for a second. So Ivan is basically representing CDP, Career Development Program, so training our people. And Mikhail is representing the embedded group, which apparently, and I want to hear an awful lot more about that, where it's really difficult to do something faster and cheaper. Obviously, you know who Sam represents as the mascot of EPAM. He said it himself. We have Ellie, who represents cloud as a platform, basically, that allows us to deliver our software faster as well. And FV2, and that's a lot easier for me to pronounce that way, FV2 for actually the tools that help us to deliver that software faster. So Mikhail, let me go to you, and because, I mean, you said something that was kind of interesting. How is it really difficult to become faster, to go to market faster with embedded systems? What is blocking us from, let's say, deliver something every week or every 2 weeks? What are the challenges that you find there?
First, it is not about velocity of development at all, because there are areas where project processes, models are used in development are strictly regulated. These areas are medicine and avionic. There are how should software development be performed, and there are no place for Agile.
So it's actually the policies that you say that is blocking you to go faster.
Yes, they just write in text of standard waterfall should be applied.
Right.
So no Agile.
Right.
So
now that's interesting, because I mean, for sure there is in standard software engineering there's policies as well. There's areas that we have to follow those policies too. Is there anybody who has experience with policies that block us to go faster as well? Policies in different areas, not only in embedded systems?
Yeah, so the ITIL, right? ITIL, it's all about that in operations. At the same time, as Jim said before, a lot of these policies come from fear, and it's not necessarily you have to succumb to the fear. You can go around and make reasonable choices and make things faster nonetheless. So certainly, I mean, any area where release is protected, where there are people that are trying to defend certain integrity of release, they would go after and create policies and make it as slow as possible.
Right.
But at the same time, on the other side, business needs to deliver. Business needs new features. Business needs everything else.
So what are the kind of things that you do to go past that blocking, to actually go faster anyway? So is it just not possible? You say, like, really, we got our hands tied here. We can't do anything. Because it's hard to believe that, as I gotta say, as leading the Agile Competency Center, I think there's always a way to go faster in some way. So what are the kind of things that you implement?
Yeah, so one of the key things Ellie mentioned is the release process. So even when we're talking about just normal web-based software that we deliver for financial services customers, they are also just very strictly regulated what can go into production, what are the kind of steps, multi-month steps to release something that you built in an agile project in 3 months, right?
Right.
So one way that we can kind of address it is, first of all, to make sure that the release process, the delivery process is as automated as possible, right? So you might not be able to kind of sidestep all the parties that participate in the process, but you can at least enable automation and make your part as fast as possible. And I think once you kind of proved that the processes that deliver the software ensure the integrity and the quality and everything, I think you kind of one by one get rid of these kind of quality gates and roadblocks and external parties who validate your work. So I think automation is like super important, and that's one of the directions that we're addressing this year with the tools as well.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, Sam, if I can hear your comments.
I think boundaries always going to be there, no matter what you do. I agree with what you guys are saying. I think boundaries are always going to be there. I remember I worked on a release in the Oracle database where we had over 4,000 engineers working on one single DVD. And imagine, all those people working on a single, DVD. You're going to have dependencies. You're going to have to have people that, basically said, no, by this date you have to have that API for somebody else when you don't even know what they really need by that time. So there are always going to be constraints like that. I think what's important is asking questions. You're not going to win every time, but you can't just take, okay, that's the way it is, and go with it. You have to understand why. If it's really a roadblock, let's say it's, security team has to go through an audit by a certain date, so you have to use these APIs, even though those APIs might not be the best solution. Yes, that is what's given, but you have to keep asking yourself, is that the smartest way to do it? Is that really the best way to do it? And not offend people, of course. You don't go too far and say, freaking stupid, why did you do this? It's not about that, but you have to keep asking yourself, why? If you can go further, at least you understand the reason why you can go further today. It doesn't mean that you cannot go further tomorrow. It's been years I've been told that it's impossible to do continuous delivery. They basically said that, you know what, you can ship the software over to the management team, and the management software team would then install it. You're never going to get that automated. Never going to get that automated because they're based on SLA. It's not possible. And then Facebook came about and said no, all the way. Right? I mean, one single click, release manager says go all the way to release and get to the hands of the users, fully automate the whole pipe.
And that's really fast, obviously. Ivan apparently wants to say something about this.
Well, Sam, what I have seen previously, it's what you said. It's usually has name, politics. We say that have rules, we have limitations, we have such things. For my first education, higher education, I'm an engineer in medical electronics. I have seen this area very good, especially in hospitals and so on. And what I want to say is that when I am spoken with doctors, with people who spend 11, 12 hours in a hospital saving our lives, they say that we are dependent on electronics, we are dependent on software, and we need to get good feedback. That means that without adaptation, if we say that yes, we have the rules, we have politics, we have there quite a lot of, questions how to solve and recommendations how to do it, but in any case, medicine as a sphere and science as well, it's a sphere where we need feedback. If we speak about feedback, we speak about better quality. If we speak about better quality, we need to think maybe we can't plan for 3 or 5 years our doings because it should be adapted by some way. Right.
So how do you, you're part of CDP, so how do you train for that? How do you make sure that, as Sam says, that you always think about how to improve? How can you do that? Or is it not possible? Can you not train for that?
Well, as most of people who are sitting here, they usually have started in our universities. It's special system like lectures, like exams, like tests, and continuous process which in which you haven't possibility to adapt it. The main problems of university, which I have seen, for example, it's not feedback. That is why CDP tries to get these feedbacks from our customers and all of people who works with us as our clients. That means that each person who visit, trainings, who visit practical orientated sessions, because it's most valuable for us, we ask it about feedback. We ask it about what we have done and how we should improve it. What do you think that the same things where we were not long ago in Budapest, 3 trainers try to make the next step for talent acquisition, for product managers. And most suitable for me as a trainer is to get feedback, to see the questions, not to be a lecturer or be a speaker who speak in one direction. It's very important to get feedback and to see the eyes of people with whom I'm speaking, with whom I collaborate, because without it, it's difficult to achieve the goals of the trainings, to achieve the goals of education.
Right.
Can I say just one thing real quick about that? I'm going to go quick but philosophical about this. So I've built many teams before, and I feel very strongly about this. No one person is enough to push the whole team. It's impossible. That's why I think we need teams, which is if everybody asks questions, if everybody is passionate, everybody's going to get tired at some point in time, right? But if everybody is asking the right question at their own time, you basically level everything out and you'll be re-energized again and again and again and again to push the team to be, basically in this continuous improvement form. Right. So it really takes the whole team's participation and believing in it. If you have one guy that's, strongly believing in in improving the team constantly, but the rest of the people not so much, and it's a job, it's not going to work.
Right. So it's really a team effort.
Yeah, I think one important aspect is how we get it across to the customer and how we convince them to work with us to make these changes and to take our feedback. And I think the cheapness aspect is something you can actually leverage when discussing these things with the customer. So you can say that if we don't utilize, the continuous delivery processes, or if we don't automate things, it's going to be just more expensive for you. You will not be able to take advantage of the cheapness aspect of Agile.
Right.
So I think it's an argument that you can use.
So talk about the cheapness. Let's continue on that thread for a second. So we already talked about how to do something faster, that it's really difficult. And I kind of want to get back to that afterwards as well with Mikhail. We talked about how feedback actually makes us improve. The continuous feedback actually improves what we're doing, improves the products that we're building. But how is that aligned with cheaper? Because you do something faster, you put extra work in it, you put extra effort in the automation as well. You automate all the way from the beginning. You go through that release process over and over and over again. Whether it's software or it's hardware, that is an investment. So where does the cheaper come in? Is it really a myth, or is it something that really works?
Yeah, for me at least, the biggest saving is basically not having to rework big chunks of software after building it for a year, right? So you have quick iterations, you get feedback early enough, you're not going to the completely wrong direction. So that's where you're saving, I think, most.
Looks like I see a couple of nods over there.
Yeah, so there is fundamentally, right? You can look at it from both perspectives, cheaper and more expensive. When you do continuous delivery, right?
Yeah.
When you do releases once a year and do it manually, it's super cheap to do the release. The fact that it might take production environments down for 3 days and makes it very expensive for the business might be overlooked in this case, right? But it also might go well and can get released well and no impact to the business altogether. On the other side, when you go with continuous delivery and you have to release twice a day for Facebook, every 7 seconds for Amazon, in production, there is no chance you can do it anywhere other than automating it. So the cheapness becomes on the business side. The faster you can deliver features to business, to clients, end-to-end from business requirements to the client. That's where the cheapness comes from.
Are we talking about return on investment? So FB already talked about less rework, right? Which obviously makes things cheaper. But are we talking about return on investment in your case, that we can put those features out way faster and we can actually start collecting the money for selling those features, or
Right.
is it
So
something
this
else?
is it's not just return on investment. It's really making money that is hanging somewhere, right? There are people that want to buy,
Right.
And I can't sell until I have that feature on the website, right? So they don't spend the money. So they don't spend the money. I don't get the money.
Right. So
I'm starting to move forward. I'm sitting on the edge of my seat now. Now I think we start. So I remember, this is maybe 12 or 13 years ago. I was sitting in a conference room, large conference room, arguing, actually screaming out of the top of my lungs, right? Arguing with an SVP in Oracle. We were arguing basically. I wanted to have these short releases, and she insisted on having these 18-month releases. And the excuse was, if we don't do 18 months, our overhead's got to be so high, you're gonna bankrupt the group, right? If you release once every 3 months, or once every 4 months. Think about the overhead to go through translation every time. Think about the overhead. And my answer is, you know what? If it's 18 months, yes, you rework the system, because by the time you actually have 18 months, you redesign everything, you rethink about the whole thing. So yeah, everything is fresh. But if you actually turn to smaller cycles, it almost forces you to automate. And once you start to automate to that degree, and it's very much like what you said, it's the biggest lie in the world, I think, that when people say that, you know what, Agile requires, so much throwing away, so much code, reworking so many things, that it's going to be 100% inefficient. It's actually the opposite. It's like what FB was saying. It's actually the opposite. It's imagining releasing something in 18 months, throwing over the fence, and pray to God and say, well, let's hope they would come. Isn't that much more of a waste than releasing it more frequently? And time to market is gold. Time to market is absolutely gold. As I said before, it's a race now. It's, if I can release something to the hands of the users, it's not about just releasing the feature sooner. It's about getting the feedback sooner.
Yeah.
If I can know that feedback, if I know that feature is actually useful, I can get to the next feature, I can get to the third one, I can get to the fourth one. This guy staying behind, he would actually have to leapfrog all those steps to the final destination. Forget it. Not going to happen.
And what happens with embedded systems? Let's go back to embedded systems for a second, because you hear all these benefits right now from the guys who work with the software. But what about the hardware and the firmware that we actually install on that? So. Well, we'll get back to you, Ivan. Don't worry about that. So what about that? Is there no opportunity there to make things cheaper, or is it completely not possible at all?
It is possible to make it faster and cheaper.
It's possible to make it faster and cheaper. Okay.
In some areas.
Say more about that.
Like consumer electronics.
Okay.
And embedded device, that is something that consists of hardware part and software part. And all agile principles and processes are completely applicable in this area for software part, firmware part. The special question about hardware part. But any device comes through at least 3 stages of development, hardware development. First is mock-up, where there is no device at all. There are components, OEMs, which are connected with each other with wires. No plate, no appearance, nothing. Just resistors, just chips, just condensators. And development is already possible here and there, just to save money and time when this mock-up after engineering stage will come to production, when 10,000 of devices will be produced or 20,000. If it is very often possible to find mistakes and bugs in hardware during this first stage, communicate them, change OEM or OEMs, or even change producers of this OEM to faster, which, for instance, work with wider temperature regime and so on. So engineering board is the same. This is not mock-up. This is already human-friendly looking part of device, like motherboard in computer or in cell phone, but it is not thousands of them is produced. It's
Right.
just couple. And in this stage, we may use already test-driven approach because tests were created at the first stage, at the mock-up. And it saves money. It saves money on avoiding mistakes in big and huge production, in series.
Again, the feedback, right, that Ivan was talking about a little bit earlier. You get that feedback. Okay, Ivan, you wanted to say something about that as well.
Nikolai said that they created by the flow. They created the hardware. They started, for example, from mock-up or maybe project, from schema development with special tools, because without tools such as PCAD or CAD, I don't know, AutoCAD, it's difficult to do the device. As well, it's very important what I have seen not only in software, for example, in building houses, how it's organized. If we organize the team around the product, around hardware device, we can have more responsibility of these people. When we have more responsibility of these people, they don't just move the documents from one department to another, from one unit to another. It's the problem most of our government establishments that they just move the documents, but they don't respond for what they are doing. That's the same things in hardware development because it's the same sphere as software, just other specialists, other roles, but the main aspect here is the team, which are doing the good job or doing bugs or they have fixed them, and the cost of fixing depends when you try to fix it. When it's produced on the factory, when you have make mock-ups, or when you produce just on the stage of testing, just on the stage test-driven development, it's up to development things.
So basically what I'm hearing in this panel is that in order to be faster, better, and cheaper, we can't just stick with the methods that we know and stick with the same methods. We need to innovate and we need to figure out new ways to actually do that. Now, is anybody in the audience, because it looks like everybody agrees here, and I kind of wanted to have a really lively discussion and a couple of people who did not agree with that. Is there anybody in the audience who says like, no, in this certain situation, it does not work. We cannot be faster, better, and cheaper. There is no way whatsoever that we can make things faster, better, and cheaper. Is there anybody in the audience here who has that idea, who believes that? Okay, so there's microphones over there. So,
why should we offer a cheaper, faster, and better solution for our customer in case we have a more expensive, longer, and maybe worse solution?
so you're basically
Very simple, so they come for more.
Why do we need to be cheaper, right? Why do we need to be cheaper at all? Why not be more expensive, right? So that we can make more money. Is there anybody who wants to say something about that?
So they come for more. I mean, it's all about quality first time, right? Because I mean, we theoretically can deliver quality after 10th time, and then all that cycle of delivery of 10th time delivery, it's all money as well, right? So it's all about them liking what we do and coming back for more, and then we do more for them, and instead of sitting on the same thing and puddling on like with the same software or something or project, we can do more interesting stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I think one key point is, we are more expensive, right? You guys are really expensive. We have to make it up by being more productive. And
oh, that's why we got to go faster, because we're expensive already to start with.
One line about that. So, great question. And I'll tell you what, this is the difference between EPAM and Accenture and Cognizant. For us, we want our customers to win. Right? So if you looked at how we actually work with our customers, when our customers are winning, we are winning. If we can build it faster, better, cheaper for the customer, they will come back. We will have more work with them. They can always, if they want a fail project, if they want a project that goes on and on and on, call Cognizant.
So there's another question from
Roman.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe it's not actually a question, it's an objection. Because, guys, it seems that you are talking more about instruments. And of course, instruments work. But as Jim mentioned, actually, instruments work in some environment. And this environment is actually culture, which Agile usually helps to develop. And if you use just instruments and you do not have the culture, you won't be faster, cheaper, and better. Never. Because you're just going to use hammer, I don't know, for swimming or anything else. So you need to apply it properly, and you need to firstly develop the culture and then apply instruments which fit into that culture.
Right. So you're basically saying if you're only applying the tools, it will never work. You will never get faster,
Yeah, probably,
better,
maybe it's gonna work in some tactical or short-term perspective, but definitely in the long-term perspective. So I think that this is something we should not miss. And when you're not propagating the culture, because like we are conducting trainings, and Ivan knows this properly. We are always like training people some instruments, but oftenly forgetting about culture. And I would like maybe to mention it and to say to everyone that Agile is firstly the culture, and then these are the tools. Thank you.
Thank you, Roman. Really good question. I believe that he win. As about culture, I want to tell you about one project which we are working with, and this will be a part of my next presentation. We have worked with customer. Financial question is financial question. He is supplier, we are supplier, he is the customer. But what was most important things that the customer and management, for example, Scrum team, Scrum masters, I don't know, product owners, was from different cities, from different countries, and we work as one team. It's the most important things in adaptation of any processes, not divide people to customers, to suppliers, to create some, I don't know, networking, some ecosystem in which all of you are working, and to build trust, it's one of the goals of this process. It is required to be honest to customer and to yourself. And the question to account manager as well, the previous question was about how to save the money. Why not to do this? I usually ask it about this by account managers. It's really good question as well. We think that without it, we will not be most expensive provider for most of our enterprise customers, because we have a lot of our colleagues in India, in China, which get more, and they do it cheaper. But I not believe that we will have on the same stage currently. If you do it more expensive, if you do it without quality, if you do it without any understanding of what we are doing and how we are doing. Is it a correct answer?
I don't think there is a correct answer here.
Yeah, I would argue just a little bit, tiny bit. I think culture is bullshit, right? So it's not something you come in and train. You know, culture is doing it properly, showing an example for the team. So I don't think we need to talk too much about the culture. We need ways to do it, show it to people how to do it by instruments and tools and best practices and leading by example. And let's not talk too much about.
I'm glad that you
bullshit.
guys sitting on the two opposite sides of the panel here. So is there anybody else who has an opinion about that as well, and who wants to connect with either one side of that conversation?
So I'll give a very practical example. Cloud, right? Cloud is same as Agile, is software engineering, lean software engineering practice. Cloud is lean practice of provisioning resources, essentially, right? So we have clients that come to us and say, we want to move to cloud. What does it mean? We have this application, take it as is, stick it in whatever, Amazon or whatever that is, and it will live there. It will be faster, better, quicker, whatever Amazon sold them. So obviously we tell them, that's not going to happen. It will be more expensive. It will not work as well. And we probably shouldn't be do it all together without thinking how that will behave in that new environment. So culture is I'm sorry, it is important. People need to understand, I'll use a bad word, process. There has to be something in there that connects the tools with what they can actually do, as simple as that.
Right.
Yeah.
You have the honor of asking the last questions again.
Okay, I want to bring your discussion into the different phase of project development cycle. So right now you're mostly discussing about the development, delivery, and everything. And of course in this phase we shine, we can focus on quality, we can show that we can build fast and everything. But I work a lot with pre-sales. And that's a time-limited phase. That's when the customer doesn't know. He heard agile, but it's a buzzword. And what you are talking about, cheap or fast, it's actually more expensive for him because you need to bring better engineers, higher rates, and you will include something in scope that was not there, like automation and stuff. So I understand the benefits later, but to get them, we need to win the project. And I would like to ask you, in this year, how will you personally, what will you do to help us when we work in pre-sales to win the projects?
I think that's a great question to end with. So can we have, and really make it short because we're actually out of time right now, so can I have from each and every one a closing note on this one? So what will you do this year to help pre-sales to win those projects, right? Just with those, these techniques.
Yeah, so from the tools perspective, so when we're building these products that serve as your tools, we're also using Agile within our teams, and we're delivering new products, new tools, new versions in an Agile basis. So you get the capabilities and features that you can demonstrate to the clients. And in fact, I also have like pre-sales material that you can use to show what these tools can do for our clients as well.
So you're basically saying, don't talk about it, let's just show it to them.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
Great. Ellie?
Yeah, I think it's actually a waste of time to sell them either Agile or Cloud or any of these independent things. I think the most important thing for them is an assurance or some sort of an assurance that whatever they sign in on, they will get that done. When we give that assurance, they won't mind paying a little bit more, or maybe a lot more, comparing to someone else. When you don't get an assurance, when you get just bulk of hours to implement something, yeah, sure, I mean, why would you pay a little bit more for, or a lot more again, for seemingly same hours? They don't know us, they don't know that the quality is better, they don't know that we can deliver faster, and they know that it's not cheaper because the paper says that it's $1 million more. So,
right.
It's all about assurance, it's all about getting them feel cozy about the outcome.
So Sam, can I get your closing note? And I'm going to tell explicitly to you to make it short as well.
Very, very short, one word, smart. So we're going to give them the smart way to solve their problem, which is, it's just another way to rephrase what you're talking about, which is they would expect a team that would be able to get them where they want to go in the smartest way possible. And that's what they're going to get from EPAM that they can't get anywhere else.
Okay. Mika.
I suppose we are tightly involved. We were tightly involved in all mentioned processes, and for next year, I would like to be more involved because these processes with very strict or very deep technical knowledge, technological, are not just quite successful.
Ivan?
Thank you. Well, as about me, when I ask it about such question, I usually use two words. First of all, which is very popular in the United States, cost of delay. That means how this project, what the cost of delay of implementation of it. And the second part is part which has named duration. That is why how many time we have to work with this customer. We have reputation, we have quite high level of authority in the sphere where we are working. But in any case, the first things we need to speak with our customer, not on language of agile of times, because it's quite difficult. We need to speak with him on the same language which he used, the language of money. How many and how much he will spend, what he will get, and what we can produce to him. For me, it's correct choice, which I'm going to, it's like agile thinking. but in common, it's the question.
Okay, so being smart as well, that's what you said. Okay, so thank you so much. So the panel is done.